And in a local race, our next guest is running for U.S. Congress here in New York on a platform that's putting big tech on notice. New York State Assemblyman Alex Bores was a driving force behind legislation to safeguard the public on the use of AI. It's an effort that has now landed him on the receiving end of attack ads and big money spending from some of the industry's top executives. And State Assemblyman Bores joins us now. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
As the race heats up. So as we're sitting down here, you said that you actually didn't expect to talk that much about AI, that you sort of felt like, well, that's part of my resume, and please talk a little bit about that. But that this has now become, this issue has sort of been sort of thrust towards you, and this is an effort to define you.
I'm the first Democrat elected in New York State at any level with a degree in computer science. I'll be only the second Democrat in Congress with that background. And so, yeah, I thought if you're voting on tech or AI, you're already voting for me. But what we're seeing is two things. One, AI is touching every part of people's lives, whether it's affecting their kids' education, it's threatening their job. We just saw a Block have massive layoffs yesterday because of AI, whether it's affecting their utility bills or the climate. So AI is creeping into every other issue. But second of all, yeah, there is a super PAC of Trump mega donors who has committed at least $10 million to defeating me for Congress because of my work regulating AI. They have really been partners in raising this up into a major issue in the campaign.
And it does seem like you're maybe a little ahead of the curve here because it's become a popular issue among Democrats to suddenly come out, I wouldn't say come out against AI, but at least to be really sounding the alarm about AI. And some of that is, as you say, the energy these data centers use, but other parts, too, the way it's touching people's lives. It's very different than even a year or two ago.
It's moving so rapidly, and even more rapidly than most people think. What you see is actually, it's one of the few issues that is not polarized. Surveys of Americans, Democrats, Republicans, Independents show about 10% of people want to pretend AI never existed and put the genie back in the bottle. 10%, represented by this super PAC of Trump mega donors, want to just let it rip. They don't care how many people it hurts as long as it moves as fast as possible. And 80% of Americans across parties want reasonable guardrails. They see some benefits, but they want government to have a say. They want the American people to have a say.
Yeah, it does seem like a lot of Democrats are recalibrating how they talk about this. Let's move on to some other issues now. You know, affordability is sort of the word we keep hearing over and over and over the last year or so. Talk to us about what your plans would be for that.
I'm really proud of not just having plans, but having already delivered on these issues in the state assembly. I've passed 28 bills, which is about the same number that Congress as a whole passed in 2023. And the Center for Effective Lawmaking named me the most effective new legislator from New York City because of that resume. It includes making sure it can be easier to build housing and changing the incentives around taxes so that there's an incentive to build, changing AMI calculations so what we call affordable housing is actually affordable in New York. It's about expanding health care through Medicare for All. It's about expanding child care through matching programs for cities and states that invest. But government needs to get those big things done, the things that are always in the conversation about affordability. But we also need to get the small things right. You need to be absolutely relentless on all of these nickel and diming fees. One of my favorite bills I've done in the state assembly was stopping insurance companies from using virtual credit cards to reimburse doctors. Insurance companies were passing along 5% fees to every provider just because it was easier for them, which raised your and my healthcare costs every time we went to the doctor. Because of my bill that's banned in New York, I'll do the same thing in Congress.
So it's a crowded race to succeed Jerry Nadler, George Conway, Jack Schlossberg, among others in the race. We've seen Speaker Johnson, the Republican, sort of in many ways happily give up the power of the House to the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue. If the Democrats do take control of Congress this November, it's Speaker Jeffries, and you're part of that. Give us one or two examples what that agenda should be. How do you block what President Trump's trying to do?
Well, you need to focus on the positive vision you're delivering for Americans and make clear that we stand for more than just fighting Donald Trump. And then also, you need to fight Donald Trump tooth and nail on absolutely everything. Once we have the majority, we have the power to subpoena, to investigate. And frankly, Donald Trump doesn't care about that. He'll be gone before the legal system catches up to him. But the people around him do, and he can't do this alone. So if you make clear, we're going to investigate, we're going to push on everything that is happening, there will be a record of that, and people will face justice. You will see cracks in that coalition. You'll see his power start to fade.
All right. New York State Assemblyman and Democratic candidate for Congress, Alex Bores. Alex, thank you for being here. Good luck on the race.